Billy Brown here. Welcome to my martial arts school here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to talk to you a little bit about my friend, custom knife maker Jason Brous. I've been following Jason's work from the beginning, really. I saw the first Silent Soldier, and I had to have one, and now I own 3. So I believe in his products, and I believe in him as an innovator. Now, what really attracted me to Jason's knives were the fact that immediately I saw the tactical applications in them. And I thought, this guy must be a martial artist. He must be a knife fighter. He just made products that drew me in. So what I'm going to try to do with this video series is show you guys some of the application of his blades, show you how they will fit into your everyday carry, whether it be if you're just carrying a knife for personal protection, whether it be you're a female that wants a knife for personal protection. And also we're going to talk about the law enforcement and military capabilities of his blades. But also just the uniqueness and the utility aspect too. Okay, before we get started today, guys, I want to kind of introduce myself to you. My name is Billy Brown. I've been training in the martial arts for 30 years now. I started with my father at a very young age. 20 of those 30 years has been geared strictly to the combatives, the tactical world. And a lot of that has involved, if not a majority of that, has involved blade weaponry. I deal with a lot of military, a lot of law enforcement community, as well as everyday men and women who want to learn to defend themselves. And obviously using a weapon comes into that often. What I'm going to try to do in this video series is show you how Brous blades, Jason's blade designs, really work well in my tactical paradigm. I'm going to show you some of the application. I'm going to show you some things that you guys that maybe have some of his designs already, maybe a different twist to using them, and we will see where this goes. And hopefully, maybe one day there'll be a Brous Blades instructional series, and I hope that I'm able to assist Jason in putting that out. I think that'd be fun for you guys and you followers of Brous Blades, and as well as people who are just now getting to know his work. Okay, guys, for more information on me and my organization, please visit us at www.empowerusa.net. Follow the link below. You'll learn all about us, great interviews, a ton of great videos. So without further ado, let's talk about Brous blades. All right, guys, the knife that I'm introducing you tonight is this beauty here. Do a close up, please. Okay. This is the Silent Soldier Flipper, one of Mr. Brous's very popular designs. It's very smooth, and obviously you guys know that these are custom. Some of them are mid-tech, but most of them are custom blades, and he takes lots of care with every design. I can't say enough how comfortable this knife is in my hands. I own hundreds of blades, guys, hundreds, and most of them are very high quality, very high priced tools. And this is probably the most comfortable knife I've ever felt. If you look at the shape, the contour of it, it just fits in your hand very naturally, and it just feels very naturally. And when we get into the cutting application of it later, you'll see how it just kind of, it's a very fluid feel to it, okay? If you guys haven't researched the Silent Soldier Flipper yet, go ahead and do that now. It's a very smooth action. It's a little different if you guys are have other flippers. It's a little different. You don't really press down on it. You press kind of like you're pressing a button, even. A button with a slight angle. I read in some of the chat rooms and some of the forums and stuff that this is really hard to learn to do. Listen to me. If you are carrying a blade for personal protection, if you are carrying a gun for personal protection, you better train with your tool daily. You put in 1,000 repetitions a week. If you do that, I promise you, this knife will be silky smooth like any other blade you carry. So with that said, let's go into the application of the Silent Soldier Flipper. Alright guys, talking about some of the other qualities about the Silent Soldier Flipper. Number one is concealment. It does have a pocket clip. You can put it on left and right side. And when we talk about the law enforcement area, I will show you putting the blade on the left side for your weak hand or your non-gun bearing hand to work on weapon retention. Okay, but also what's really beautiful about it is it's very, very low riding pocket clip. Very, very. I mean, it's awesome. You can't even really see the knife. It looks like an ink pen almost in your pocket. Okay, so that's a plus when it comes to using blades in the tactical community, because granted, we want the blade to be visible, and in some states you are not allowed to have a concealed weapon or a concealed blade. This is not considered concealed in a lot of areas because it's visible. Okay. Also, I want to talk about the blade shape itself. It's a very non-threatening type of blade, which I love. If you were to ever have to use this in a life-threatening time is life situation, and you would have to talk to the authorities afterwards, this kind of a knife would be it would kind of slip by the radar. This is a great knife for utility purposes. If you're an electrician or do any kind of utility type of work, this knife I think would fit very well into your EDC. I think that it's very overlooked at all of the tactical qualities of this blade just because of the shape itself. So good. We have concealment, we have deployment, the smoothness of the now Jason does build his knives on a ball bearing system, and you can see how silky smooth that is. The curvature of the handle just fits perfectly, and as I said before, this is the most comfortable blade I think I've ever handled. Okay guys, I want to introduce one of my students, one of my black belts in fact. This is Mr. Jay Bumpus. Jay has been with me for over 3 years now. I use him a lot as an uki, and he takes a lot of abuse, so we're very glad to have him. Okay, what we're going to do now is go through some blade-to-blade skill sets. I'm going to keep this kind of very basic for you. Now, as I said, later on there may be some future Brous Blades training series DVDs in the making, where we go from basic to advanced with you and show you really all the great application that the blade can do, and show you how Brous Blades, his designs fits very beautifully into these applications. But I like to start the student in blade on blade because, for one, they learn to defend against something scary coming at them. Okay. So what I did here is I actually covered the Silent Soldier Flipper in some Malar type reflective tape for you. I did that for two reasons. I did that, one, to protect Jay from getting cut, and also for you to track the blade. A lot of times when we work a black blade like this, you really can't see the technique, or you can't see what we're trying to bring out for you. So I did that there. Now there possibly may be some training blades from Brous Blades coming in the near future, so you guys be looking out for that. But for right now, this will suffice. Okay. So Mr. J is going to give me an angle 1, an angle 2, an angle 3, an angle 4, and an angle 5. So the first concept I want to show you is just what we call meeting the force. Not quite like Luke. We're meeting the incoming force of the blade. So I'm going to run through that with you real quick. So he does it number 1. See, I just cut the hand. He does it number 2. I'm cutting the limb. He does it number 3. Now look, when the blow goes low, I go high. I'm trying to hit flesh. A lot of people have the mistake of wanting to cut this thing here. what you have here is a very structural problem. You'll both get cut, and you will probably get the worst of it. So what I want to do is hollow my body out, and I want to cut the tendons or the muscles responsible for holding on to the weapon. So when he goes low, you go high. Golden rule. And once again, he does the angle 4, I cut high. And he does the angle 5, I'm still high. Thumb, fingers, wrist, forearm, all meat is good meat when you're talking about the bladed weapon. So once again, I cut. I'm cutting, I'm cutting, I'm cutting, I'm cutting. That's the first part I want you to train with. So the next area, now we're going to cut the limb. What we're trying to do is cutting the limb to make him drop the weapon. So when I cut the limb, all I'm going to do is make a downward X. So I'm cutting the limb, I'm meeting the incoming blow of the weapon. Now that right there would make him drop the weapon. I don't know many people that can hold on to a weapon once you cut the muscles, the tendons responsible for making that fist. And what people don't understand is that a good blade, a good high quality blade, it doesn't just cut, it bruises and breaks also. So you are really just totally, no matter what area you hit on the hand, there's some instructors out there that say, this is the area. They try to pinpoint this stuff like pressure points. You are cutting this individual with ballistic force. Just hit hard, hit fast, and the weapon, his hand will open, the weapon will fall out. So now, if the threat was, if I had to really stay in there and up that level of threat, that force continuum, if my daughter was here and I couldn't just abandon her, I would have to go into a more fight-stopping type of blow. So that's what we're going to work next. But also, it teaches you just to maneuver the weapon. So, he cuts me, I downward X. He cuts me, I downward X. He cuts me, I downward X. He cuts me, tries to cut me. I make a downward blow. Always keep in mind I can check if I need to with this hand. Later on we're going to go into stuff that you can use with your other tools, because let me tell you something. When it comes down to it, fighting is fighting. It's not knife fighting. It's not sport fighting. It's not MMA fighting. Fighting is fighting. Every part of your body can become a weapon. Okay. Moving, still talking about grips of the solid soldier flipper. Let's move on to what I call the knuckle pick grip. And I hope that this silver reflective tape really kind of shows you the contour and the way the blade is held. Sometimes the black kind of hides from you. This is what I call a knuckle pick grip. And I'm going to show you why. In the Filipino martial art that I've been training for about 20 years now, Kali, there's an empty hand portion too, but the empty hands always revert back to the bladed weapon. It's a bladed art. So a lot of times if the jab was to come, you see, we don't just block it like most of the world would do. We do exactly what we would do with the blade, and you can see all the kind of wounds here from training blades that this guy has. We would hit that limb first. We try to destroy the limb, or at least momentarily suppress it so that we can go in and work on the CPU itself. One of the things we do there is what I call an arm pick. You guys have seen this before. You just frog your friend or something, right? I mean, you've seen that before. Well, it works beautiful when you hit it in the soft tendons here of his arm. See? Now you have to have this boxer's catch, this boxer's parry. Whip it faster. You have to have that, because what I'm wanting to do is parry this thing over, and then I'm going to make like a crossing, a scissoring, scissors, a scissoring motion. And I'm actually going to run his arm in to the knuckle pick. Now for training, I want you to slap it. It looks like this. And then I would just go in to whatever I wanted to do from there. Now, with the bladed weapon, especially the solid soldier flipper, it seems like it was born for this. You can imagine the devastation that would do. Either the thrusting motion or the slashing motion. if he blocks it from here, right, you can imagine the area that we could go into from there. So I think that when you purchase this blade, I think this is one of the grips you should definitely practice. I think it's a ferocious partial protection grip. The knuckle pick grip. Okay guys, let's talk about reverse grip. Whew! There's lots of controversy on the grips you should hold your knife. Lots of different trains of thought. When in reality, when it comes down to it, in my experience dealing with lots of blades, lots of broken bottles on the street, the best grip is a tight grip. And there are pros and cons for every grip that we can do. But I do want you to train with your solid soldier flipper in the reverse grip. Now, in my experience, the times I go to a reverse grip is when it's extremely close range. Extremely. I'm talking about headbutt, elbow distance. Or I'm on a knee or on my back. That's the best times to use a reverse grip. Any other time, the standard grip is more superior in my opinion. You have more reach. You can hollow your body out more. And you can just press the blade right into them and defend that. So if we're talking about the reverse grip, let's talk about some of the capabilities of that. Number one, you can hook with this. So he gives me a number one. I can hook past this knife, this blade here. Slowly, I get to the back side. I hook. See it? Now I can cut and I can thrust and I can keep just putting in the shots. That's there. The next area that we can go into is when we hook or scoop to the forward shot. See, there's the cut. And I can just put in brachial plex. It's an awesome, awesome shot. It kills the whole arm. But you know what? It doesn't kill him. A beautiful thing about a blade is that we can injure to degree. You can't do that with a gun. If I have to pull my firearm, 30 years of martial arts has failed me. My voice escalation, my de-escalation skills have failed me. Blunt edge weapons have failed me. I have to take a life. My family's there. It's either our lives or theirs. With a bladed weapon, like a Brous blade, you do not have to take a life. You can injure to degree. You cut a hand, he goes get stitches, you go home, everything's fine. And hopefully he won't do that again. So I want you to keep that in mind while we stress the blade so much. Because it's really, we don't train with the blade so much to take a life. We train it to preserve life. But sometimes you got to use violence to do that. So with the reverse grip, what you do is either pass behind, thrust it into the face, and that's another thing about the beauty of the solid soldier flipper, is that it's precisely contoured for your hand. You can punch naturally, and the blade is already pointing to the target. You don't have to really twist your wrist or anything. The contour is just perfect. So I can scoop and press, or I can palo soot. That's the term we use in the Filipino martial arts. Scoop and press, and I still have that devastating capability. Okay, guys. Now we're going into the blade to empty hand scenario here. As you notice, I have two of my longtime students here. I have Mr. Jay Bumpus, who you've already met, and also Mr. Nick Reicholt. We believe in the concept of what I call a complete arsenal. If you carry a blade for self-defense purposes, you better also know how to use the rest of your body. If you carry a pistol, if you go to a little 4, 6, 8 hour course to get your little CCW, and all of a sudden you think you're a gunfighter, I promise you, you're badly misinformed, and you need to do the research. and you need to get with a qualified instructor and really train these other areas to make yourself more of a complete warrior. So in my situation, I had a very bad situation where I got jumped by 5 guys in the rain. I was working a spot one night, and I slipped, and a freak accident, I tore my quad in half. Now you guys can go to my website and read the interviews that people have conducted with me, and you guys will see and learn more of that story. But the point is, I used my blade that night. And the next day, it was ruled, within 5 minutes, it was ruled self-defense because I was outnumbered, I was injured, and it was blade against empty hand, and it was justified. So I want you to understand the legalities of what I'm trying to teach you here. But also, we do this for coordination building purposes, because let me tell you something, in a fight, coordination is usually the first thing to leave you. So you have to train it more. Perfect practice. Perfect practice. Repetition breeds habit. Habit is the mother of skill. Keep in mind though, you can you can develop a perfectly bad habit. So you have to get with a good training course. You have to understand the reality and not practicality of the situation and go from there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have these guys just start throwing jabs and crosses at me. Their goal is to bust my nose. My goal is to touch them, is to touch their hand, is to cut their hand with the solid soldier flipper. Every time I get a good cut on their hand, they back up, just like they would if this was really the case. They have protection. We have a protective covering over the very, very razor sharp edge that Jason puts on his blades. There may be some training blades in the near future. We will see. But this is a good way to train. You got to be safe first. Make sure your blades, if you wouldn't do it to yourself, then don't do it to your training partners. Okay, so I like to put myself against the wall, and these guys come at me. Come, step, 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 stop. I do not want to stay here. I want to cut and move. This is what we call the eclipse method. I am keeping the other bad guy in front of the other bad guy. Now, once I dispatch this guy and he moves, I may have to handle this guy too, using the other tools if I need to. And then this guy comes next, and then I dispatch him also. So this is the way to train when you train multiple attackers.
So I haven't tried this place before, but Billy said he loves the duck here, said it's the best in town. I haven't actually looked. Hey! Get away from me!
Okay guys, as you see by the last clip we just put together for you guys, I believe that the Solid Soldier Flipper, the Solid Soldier series, falls perfectly into the demands of today's female who is looking for a personal protection weapon. It's very non-obtrusive. It can fit in a purse, in a pocket, and we will show you more carry ways and more deployment ways in the next video section, which we're going to cover the original Solid Soldier, and I think you guys will get a lot from it. So this is Billy Brown. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you've got a lot from it. As I said, there might be other future projects, maybe a Brous Blades instructional series. Who knows? But please stay tuned. Please keep your eye on Jason Brous. I'm looking very forward personally to the innovations that he comes up with. The Solid Soldier Flipper. Thank you, man. Until next time, Guro Billy Brown here. I'll see you on the mat.